You ready? Hi, everybody. We are a few seconds early today. Got my good friend Jennifer King here, fabulous real estate agent that I've got the pleasure to meet years ago and develop that relationship. So I love seeing you, Jennifer, and love having you live with us tonight.
Yes, thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, I'm glad you did. And today we are here to talk about systems, and more systems. So, in your real estate, how do you get to the next level? You develop systems that are proven to work, and you stick to those systems and you tweak them year after year, making them better and better and better. So, Jennifer, talk to us about systems. What you got, girl?
Well, I think that it's so easy when you're getting started in real estate to just always be chasing the shiny new thing. And I think it's so important to realize that so much more can be done. We can be so much more effective if we really just look at our own processes and kind of fine tune, new technology and things as it comes in, but also just staying steadfast and consistent with our own systems that we have in place. And Um, for us, when we find that there's a break in the system or we missed something, we try and build tweak our system to make sure that those kinds of things don't happen again. So, yeah, lots of good stuff.
Yeah, I agree with that. And the first one that pops into my mind are systems at closings, right? So you come in there, we give it to the closing coordinator, and then we have a checks and balances, everything that you need to do and a timeline to do it in. And Jennifer, what you were saying about coming back and tweaking it, I think that is excellent and so true because so many times something will come in and a buyer or a seller will have a question that nobody's asked us before or have a problem that we haven't seen before. And then we change the system to make sure we're including that in the message that we're giving.
Yep, for sure.
What kind of systems do you have? And hey, Linda.
We have systems basically for literally everything that we do. And so, what you were saying, as far as, when buyers or sellers ask questions, we build systems around that. So, we've got, processes in place that drip on our clients. So, as soon as they go pending, they have a series of emails with links to quick videos we've put together explaining, what's an earnest deposit, what are your next steps going to be. It links to a page that we've built on our site showing them all of our preferred vendors, including the inspectors, and tells them how they need to go about scheduling. So, kind of when we get the same question repeatedly, we've tried to build a system all around that so that we don't have to keep saying the same thing a million times. And it's been really great for our clients as well, because even like on our YouTube channel, which I'm currently doing an overhaul on that, but we've got, a buyer playlist and a seller playlist, and we've got all of these things. So it's pretty frequently that I'll meet with people and they'll say, oh yeah, we know what's next because we've already seen, you know, we've already watched all the videos. Like we understand the whole process. And so here we are, let's go.
So it's about educating your clients, right?
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. And it's funny because I have a buyer's book, right? When I'm showing buyers and I put this book together and it's some buyers are overwhelmed by my book because it's rather lengthy. And I try to explain to them this is everything that anybody's ever asked me. So there's flood zones in there. I mean, you just name it. If there's tax information, every single thing I get my hands on about that property, but also the buying process that I've encountered over the past 17 years. So once they figure out my system and my book, then they go home and they're like, holy cow, this is a wealth of knowledge. And
Yes.
thank you.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
And I think the videos are really good too. And then also with listings, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So
Super.
we have a whole series, same thing for our sellers that they get put into an action plan through our CRM as soon as they make contact and are considering selling. So that kind of steps them through all of the things that they need to do to get their house ready to sell. Again, we've tried to simplify this. So back in the day, it used to be a series of drip emails. Then we discovered it'd be a whole lot more effective to put videos embedded into that. So now we've got a YouTube channel with the videos embedded that are all part of our action plan. And all of that stuff resides on our website. A lot of it's on hidden pages that just goes out to our clients. So the general public's not necessarily finding it, but it steps them through the process and just gives them a comfort level with what they're looking at. We have a whole checklist of things to do to get their house ready to sell, how to get ready for the photographer. And again, the video, they can do the video. We have the video embedded in a blog, which resides on our website. So it gives us one central place to change, preferred vendors, or if we change processes or there's new, municipal regulations or whatever, we can just make one change one time and that will be effective on our templates.
No, that's brilliant. I think that that's and that you know what it does? I mean, it makes sure that nothing gets between the cracks, right? Not for your buyers, not for your sellers, and that they know what's happening. So it's checks and balances for you, but also for them.
Right. Right.
It just makes everything so much smoother. And you get that when you get experienced agents or you join a team of experienced agents that can help guide you through that.
Yeah, for sure. And
Yeah.
I think it's important to note too, like we have, like I said, systems for everything. So even referrals, we do a ton by referrals,
Yeah, we do too.
lots of referral business in and out every year. And we always set goals for that, which has been really kind of career changing for us, really. And so no one ever has to guess what's happening. And I know I've had mixed reviews. I've seen lots of posts about referrals, and some agents feel like they don't want to be micromanaged. We're not here to micromanage. But Jennifer, if I refer a client to you, I'm telling them, like, this is my girl. Jennifer's going to
That's
take amazing care of you. And, we're going to follow up. And for us, if you send a referral our way, we follow up to let you know we've connected. We
yeah.
follow up again to say, hey, we've not only connected, but we've scheduled a time to meet. And then we'll just update periodically until the point that we get to contract. And then we'll say, hey, we're under contract. We're excited to get you paid. This is what they're buying. Here's a link to it so you can check it out. Here's approximately what your referral check's going to be. Our closing date set for this. So I feel like, I don't know that there's enough weight put on referrals.
I
Um,
agree.
I just, we solidly do six figures every single year with referrals in and out. And I don't take that for granted. I know that people are trusting us with their clients. So
Yeah.
again, not trying to micromanage, but I do think that we need to communicate with the other agent, because if you've given me the gift of a referral, why would I not at least not only
Keep you
thank you?
updated.
Yes, but let you know what's happening and we didn't drop the ball and we're on it, and here's where we're at in the process. And it's so much fun with all the great people we've met at the REMAX conventions and other real estate conventions to be able to, serve clients well. It's great.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And when I first started getting referrals in the beginning, I couldn't land them. I couldn't figure out why I couldn't land them. And what I found out, and you hit the nail on the head, was communication with the other agent. Because that referral to me that you've given me, Jennifer, they don't know me. They're not loyal to me. They're your clients. They're
Yeah,
loyal to you.
right.
And once I talk to you and say, hey, I can't get them to call me back, or this is what's happening. And then you can fill in that gap as to what's happening until I get to know them.
Absolutely.
Once I realized that, I call once a week. I get a referral. I call agents once a week to let them know what's happening, even if it's nothing. Even if it's, hey, I sent them 4 emails. I've showed them 3 homes and they're kind of in this purgatory situation right now. They don't know what to do or whatever, but I'm still communicating the process and what's happening. And you're right, when it goes under contract, definitely. But I think that that is super important to do.
And I think people lose sight of the fact as agents that, we have a wealth of really knowledgeable and really good peers available to us. So, my ears are always open when I've got somebody and they say, hey, we're thinking about this location or that location. Um, to be able to connect somebody is a true gift, because I don't have to guess if you're going to take good care of them because I know you.
That's
So
exactly right.
that's
That's
good.
yeah, and it's so important too. And I had a situation, a good friend and client that refers me a lot of business. Her daughter, her oldest daughter, was moving to San Antonio, and she was just renting. But they reached out to me and said, "Hey, do you have somebody in San Antonio that can help her because she just graduated college, she doesn't know what she's doing." And I reached out to one of our referral partners, and they were like, absolutely. Thank you. And they didn't do it for money. They did it as a favor to me, but it was a true favor and it made everybody happy. And now he's my referring agent in San Antonio for doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's the little things that sometimes we get sloppy with. For example, getting ready to go to R4, we're revealing our blank digital business card. And
Yeah.
in the notes section. It lists all of the towns and zip codes where we serve. And so when somebody gets my Blink card and saves me to their contacts, now I'm searchable by any of those cities, by any of those zip codes. And that's huge because I promise you, 6 to 8 referrals in or out almost every single week.
Yeah, I do too.
And
Yeah, I got 6 last week. Yeah,
so to
agreed.
very quickly be able to pull up a city,
Somebody you met, that's right. Somebody you met, know, love, and
yes,
trust.
yes, it's just
Absolutely.
huge.
Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree. And then we were talking about virtual assistants. I've
Yeah.
never used a virtual assistant. Talk to me. How do you use them? What do they do?
So my virtuals essentially run my business. I have a transaction coordinator who's been with me for 11 years. He
Wow.
started with me as an assistant on the listing side and then moved over to transaction coordination. And I've had in-person and virtual assistants. I don't think that there's any right or wrong. I think
Yeah,
it's, just getting the help you need, whatever that looks like. There's a lot of benefits to virtual. Obviously some challenges as well. It's a little different when you're training somebody over, Google Meet or
yeah.
whatever versus in person, but it's worked really, really well for us. My listing assistant does everything pre-listing. She executes the action plan on the pre-listing side.
Wow.
And then once we have photos taken, she uploads them all. She puts them in order. She's got a template to follow saying we want front door, back, front view,
Yeah.
back view. And this is how you walk through the house. So she gets all of that ready and prepped for me. She preps all the listings in the MLS. And then all I've got to do is go in and review and just, do any tweaks or whatever that I want before we go live. So
Mhm.
that's been super helpful. She'll set them up in showing time for all of their showings based on my instructions from the seller as to how they want to be notified and so
Mhm.
forth. And then my transaction coordinator actually is fantastic. He has been with me, like I said, 11 years, my listing assistant, 10 years.
Wow.
And I had someone in office who was my transaction coordinator. And when that didn't work out after a few years, things change. Some people get rather entitled and they think when you're meeting clients at Starbucks to talk business, they should be able to come along every time. There's just a lot of things that happen, but he actually hired and trained my listing assistant. So that's been
Wow.
fantastic. And they both are virtual in the Philippines.
Wow.
And yeah, so we're 12 hours difference actually in our time zone, and it works out really well. They work for me normally from 7 to 2, and then one of them will come back on like 5 to 7 in the evening or 5 to 8. So if we've
Mhm.
got contracts out or we've had a full, afternoon of showing people and we're going
Yeah.
to be potentially writing offers, they'll prep the offers for me and get all of the documents out to our clients. So it's been huge. I could not
Wow.
function without them.
That's you have 2 close you have 2. That's
I
awesome.
do. They're both full time. Yep.
Wow. I've never had a virtual assistant. I have plenty of admin in the office. I've got a closing coordinator and a team manager and a marketing person. And I like having people in the office because I think activity breeds activity and nobody
Yes.
wants to come into office that nobody's in. So as long as I have people here, then agents on the team want to come to the office and be in the office.
Right. Right.
So I think that gives good correspondence you could hear and say and see, see what's happening. But I've never done a virtual assistant, and that might partially because I'm a control freak, right? So that is kind of out of my control. However, do you see the beauty in a virtual assistant? And more people are talking about virtual assistants now than I've ever heard of in the past.
Yeah. There's a lot of different services out there where you can interview people. When I hired my transaction coordinator, I was actually looking for in office or virtual. And I had a virtual for a while who had actually been an agent in another state, and her
Mhm.
husband coached college football.
Oh,
So
wow.
they would move every couple years. So it just was not practical for her to be in sales. So that was actually my first virtual assistant. She was with me for quite a while, and she was great as well. So it
Wow.
doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be overseas. There's really good people here who, for
Yeah.
whatever reason, don't like sales or can't,
They just
practice
want to work from
speaking
home. I
business.
mean, is that kind
Yes.
of like working from home?
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
Mhm. Wow.
Mhm.
One of my Facebook things, I'm playing with it, and I'm sorry, Jennifer, that's saying that it's not linked up to Facebook, so I don't know why. So if you
Oh,
don't see me anymore, it just popped on, so I have no idea. Do you mind if I step out and see if my daughter's still here? I'll
yeah,
say
yeah,
sorry, give me one
you're
second.
good. You're good.
I'm so sorry. Um, oh, well, Nobody's here, so don't worry about it. Sorry about that. I don't know if it's playing or not. I don't believe it is on one of the sites.
Oh,
Facebook, it's not working. Is Gracie still here? Oh, anyway, we will see. But as far as consistency, I mean, I think that's pretty, you know, I don't want to say obvious, but I think working consistently and doing the same things, right, with your systems or with your daily schedule and prospecting is super important. And when you don't do that, you can see the effects in your business pretty quickly.
yeah, for sure. And I think, one of the best things I did myself was I hired a coach really my first year in the
Yeah.
business. I got licensed in 2000, did some light admin because I had babies at that point. We have 4 children.
Yeah.
And so I was doing some light admin for my dad who had been in real estate. And um, yeah, I hired a coach my first year, really nailed down systems and consistency. And I learned pretty quickly that, the results do follow. So it's really a matter of being consistent. And again, it's hard when you're self-employed to not be tempted to,
Be at the
hit
beach
the
all
stop
day. We
sign.
are.
Exactly. Let's go do things.
Yeah.
But I keep the same schedule pretty much every day, 7 days a week. And
I learned that pretty early on in real estate because it is easy. I mean, we're right here on the coast. It is super easy to be like, yeah, I'm working. And you might have your computer on the beach, but your ass isn't working. I mean, that's not really working, whatever. But when you come to the office and you are very routine, and I'm super ADD, but that routine keeps me in line and keeps me in check. And the minute I fall out of it, you definitely see the effects on your business. So
yeah,
it's important. I think that consistency. I think prospecting, having your systems, doing all of that, it just keeps rejuvenating more business.
Yeah, and we're in a fairly low dollar market compared to a lot of the nation.
Yeah.
So,
What's your
we have to
average
hustle.
price point? What's your
Um,
average?
we are finally up to almost 300,000. For years, we hung right at the two and a quarter, 250. And now since COVID, our prices are just skyrocketing because we're in southeastern Pennsylvania, in Lancaster. So people don't realize we are really central. So we have had since COVID and everybody's working from home, we've got Amtrak directly to New York City. We've got
Uh-huh.
Philadelphia an hour and a half one direction, Baltimore an hour and a half the other direction, DC is just over 2 hours. So we have a ton of people who are just flooding into our market, bringing their big salaries in, purchasing homes here, and not replacing the inventory. So it's definitely been a challenging few years. We love it. We've met a lot of great new people. So not complaining. It's definitely
Change
um,
the market.
it's changed the market. We have a population of 560,000 people in my county where I live, and last week we had 200 homes for sale. That's it.
Wow.
So
Yeah. So we have
definitely,
115,000 in Wilmington. Isn't that crazy?
yeah.
I was talking to somebody in Florida and they said they had 3 million. I was like, I wouldn't even know what that looks like. We have 115 in my county, but you're right. And there's not a whole lot for sale. People that move here tend to stay. They're
Yeah.
usually moving in from out of town, but
Okay.
our average price point is 460.
Wow.
Yeah,
Nice.
and who would have thought COVID? Who would have thought some viral infection, disease, whatever, is going to affect the whole country in such an odd way? I
Yeah.
mean, right? I mean, prices went crazy. People started moving everywhere, and you couldn't keep up. And that was across the United States. Like it didn't matter who I was talking to. Didn't matter
Right.
what area they were in. They were all experiencing the same reaction, which was just odd to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Especially when in the beginning, if you remember, we didn't know if we were essential workers. Like here, they actually had police roadblocks. Like you could not drive unless you were qualified an essential worker. And it was hard to determine if a real estate agent wasn't essential. I mean, to me, I'm pretty damn essential.
We like to think we are. Our
Yes.
lovely governor decided we were not. So you probably recall we were shut down for 61 days, literally shut down in real estate. So we were not allowed to close anyone. I'll never forget March 17th. If you were pending by March 17th, you could close. If you were pending March 18th, you could not. So we had just crazy stories. People who were in hotels with all of their house in a box truck, that couldn't get into their new home because they weren't allowed to close, and just
I
sheer
didn't even
chaos. But here we are today.
thank God, but it's crazy that that epidemic, that we had an epidemic on our lifetime, and it completely shut down the world for 61
Eh,
days. Like, holy cow.
Yeah. 61 longest days of my life, I'm pretty sure. I think I definitely cried when we found out that we were live. I was out within an hour showing a house.
Well, that's when you had so many unfortunate, I mean, so many suicides. I mean,
Yes.
so many people. It's I think divorces, I think new babies,
Yeah.
and suicides. And it's because you're locked inside, and we are a social, I mean, humans in general are social creatures. And to say 61 days without contact, without leaving your house, without, see, long time. And then the
Yeah.
only thing you're hearing on the news are all these people dying. I mean, it was really horrific. And it seems like divorce rate went up and babies. Everybody I talked to was either getting a divorce or found out they were pregnant. I mean, so you're okay, 61 days is a long time.
Right.
You find your way to get through it somehow.
Well, we dug back into our Amish and Mennonite roots over here. We made strawberry jelly, homemade ketchup, we canned applesauce. We just did all the things.
Yeah. So that's when I took the time to call agents around the United States and be like, hey,
Mhm.
what are you doing? What are
Yeah.
you doing? And just started networking like crazy. And I honestly did not mean it. I didn't do it to network. I did it trying to come up with a way around it, trying to pick brains of agents that I thought were truly the best in the industry. And from that, developed really close knit friendships. And
I love
that's
that.
everybody that's been, like you, everybody that's been on my show are just people that I've gotten to know because of COVID,
Yeah.
and just built a bond. And that's helped all of our business, not just for referrals, but I also think it's important to talk to industry leaders across the country to see what they are doing, what systems they have. And
Yes.
after 17 years, there's not a lot, nobody's going to tell you something that you're doing wrong and they're doing it perfect, but they might have a little idea that
Right.
just tweaks a little spark in your brain just to add one extra thing, to make your business better, but also seeing the trends and the real estate trends and learning how those trends affect where you are, and see those trends before they hit you so that you could best position your buyers and sellers for when those trends do hit, you
Yeah,
know?
for sure. Yeah.
So
So
I
much
think
value in that. I'm part of a bunch of different masterminds as a result of, the friendships I've made,
that's
going to
right.
the different conferences and stuff. And it's so refreshing because, I think a lot of people look at, HGTV or whatever, and they assume that's what we do. And they don't realize the reality of, the constant, whether it's rejection or just, consistently telling buyers over and over, you didn't get it again because now you're competing with cash and there was 18 offers and you were one of the 5 that wasn't cash. It's it takes a toll. I feel like the mental wear and tear has been
It's
strong.
hard. It's a hard job.
It's a hard job. So it's not a difficult job, but it is hard. It is definitely hard. So I love it. I think those of us that hang around, we love it and we're here for the long hauls. But it definitely is really good to be able to just network with other agents who are out there doing it and just understanding how we can better help our clients and always looking for not, like I said, not the shiny new thing necessarily, just more, how can we adjust something we're doing or what have we not thought of that we could do to better serve our clients, whether
Yeah,
it's with another designation. I think there's been a whole thrust away from education since I've gotten in. When I got in, it was all about what's your next designation.
yeah,
And
agreed.
a lot of that's gone away. So um, anyway, there's just a lot of really valuable insights. And I think, the general public doesn't necessarily realize there's a difference between a real estate agent who went to class for 60 hours or whatever versus someone who's really dug their heels in and really intent on learning how,
That's right.
how best to serve each different niche, whether it's seniors or whether it's relocation clients
Yeah.
or, medical professionals. There's a lot of really good,
Investors, whatever. Yeah.
yeah,
No, I totally agree. And it's, I think the agents that have gotten in, it's a huge, super huge turnover rate because it is a hard profession. I love it. I mean, I couldn't imagine any other job that I would love as much, but it is exhausting. I mean, today I was, interviewing new agents at 9 in the morning and helping a new agent show houses by 10. And the time changed. I thought I was dying. I was like,
Uh,
and then it's interesting too when you're showing houses and people are in there from out of town. I had this lady today that was in from Charlotte, and she's the sweetest lady. And she kept saying, "Honey, treat me like your mom." And I was, but she was so like she rode in the car with me. So if you're in the car with somebody for hours, you
Yeah,
you have to do the small talk and you have to constantly, you're a tour guide, you're,
right,
an emotional support. I mean, you just
right.
gotta kind of everybody and you have to be on. And it's not labor intensive, it's mentally draining.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's one thing that's really stood out to me too. You may have seen my post on Facebook, but I was just saying, like, Robin Gwaltney has just really inspired me with her commitment to fitness and stuff, and just
Yeah.
being able to realize, we really do only live once. And so, like, I'm on this whole kick. So I am consistently at the gym every day. And,
It
it's
goes
not
back
about
to consistency, right?
it is.
Consistency in all parts of your life.
Yes, and yesterday was horrible here in Pennsylvania. It was windy, 40-mile-an-hour winds, gray, dark, time change. I was like, "I just don't wanna go, I just don't wanna go." So, finally in the afternoon, I went. I really don't like going in the afternoon. I'm usually there at 6 AM, so
Yeah,
that was a struggle, but I got there and, I knew I would feel so much better if I just did it. So, I
right.
think that whole, there's so many business parallels. The other thing I've started binging, and we didn't even talk about this, but I've started binging, like, YouTube and podcasts from, like, other business owners, like,
Yeah,
people who are in business, self-employed people, and it's all parallel, right? So it's really interesting to hear different slants on, I was just listening to one, they were talking about how they do photography for their business and whatever. I thought, "Oh, like, same principles and marketing, same principles and serving your clients well, same principles." So it's nice sometimes to hear it from other industries as well,
yeah,
because
that's right.
we're not as solo as we feel like we are sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. I mean, it's harder. Like when I interview new agents that want to get into real estate, my first question is, what do you think about working 7 days a week? Okay. Then listen, what do you think about working nights and weekends? Yeah, because that is the reality of our business. And there's so many agents out there that if you're not answering your phone, they're going to go to somebody else until they get to know you, right? Until you show them your value.
Right.
But I don't think people fully understand it. And the number one thing agents say when I say, why do you get into real estate? And they always will say, for flexibility. Make good
Yeah.
money in your flexible hours. And I'm like, uh, I hate to tell you, it's 100% commission. You make no money, and it's not flexible hours. You're on
Right,
every.
right.
I mean, I could be a
Yep.
little bit flexible. Like my kids are younger, I could go on field trips with them during the day, but I knew that I had to be available nights and weekends. And whatever time I spent with them during the day, that was a lot of work. I'd have to make up that afternoon, catching up, returning all those phone calls, making sure all of my people knew where I was going to be and what to expect from me,
Right.
you know?
Yeah, and I think we have to, as we grow up in the business, we kind of realize, like, I made so many mistakes for so many years. I I love it. Like, I could do real estate 24/7. I could keep
Yeah.
digging for, like, the next way I could advertise something, or the next social media thing, or how I can adjust video, or, I'm not perfect, but I love to learn. And
Yeah,
so
I agree.
having to get to a point in my life to say, you know what, it's not worth sacrificing other things. Like, I've got to just set a hard, fast, time. Like, I need to be done at this time. And, obviously you work with your clients on their availability. So that's always a challenge in this business. But I've gotten pretty good at, on the times when I do have to work evenings or weekends or afternoons or whatever. I typically try and work in the office. I'm usually in the office by 7:30 or 8, and I'm there till noon or 1, 2 o'clock, and then I'll do my appointments in the afternoon. I'm usually home by 5. But again, that's going to depend. So if I've got clients who need evening showings, I tell all my clients right up front, listen, I am here for you 150%, but I also do have a family.
Yeah.
And so, I'll be as available as needed, and I'm never going to let you down if we're negotiating contracts or anything. But you do need to understand, if I work all weekend long, I'm just going to disappear. That might be Tuesday
Yeah.
from 12 to 7, I'm offline. That could be, Thursday from
But
7 to 2, I'm offline.
I just think you have to set those expectations and
Yes.
tell people what they are. Because
Right.
I know, like when I first got divorced, my kids were 7 and 8, and I could not do buyers. I could not do buyers. My kids were little. I couldn't afford a babysitter. I had
Yeah.
to work from like 8 to 5. Those
Yeah.
were really from until 4 because I had to pick them up from school. those are the hours I could work. So I would tell my sellers, only did sellers, and I referred out all the buyers at that time. And I'd say, these are my hours. These are my hours because I'm a single mom. When my kids come home, I'm helping with homework, I'm cooking dinner, I'm doing laundry, I'm cleaning the house. I am being a full on mother from
Yes.
5 until 8 o'clock in the morning, you know? But I
Yeah.
think as long as you tell people, people respect it. You just have to
Yeah.
tell them what to expect.
And, it's okay to say they're not a fit. If somebody needs to hear from me in 15 seconds, 24/7, I'm probably just not the best agent for them. And
Yeah.
I'm at a point in my life where I'm okay with admitting that. Like, I want you to be happy. And so if that's what you need, I'm just going to tell you up front, that's not something I can work with, because I
Yeah.
am one person and I will give 150%, but I also have to rest. I have to take care of myself and do
But
all
you
those
could come
things.
in and say, "Hey, I mean, I'm not going to answer you in 15 seconds. However, when it comes to I mean, your systems, your negotiating skills, your knowledge, your
Right.
experience, and it's like, okay, do you want a new agent? Why don't you have the new agent run you around? Call me when you're ready to."
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think most people are respectful of that. And I've gotten pretty good at, I try to consistently change my voicemail and email to reflect what
Yeah.
my day looks like.
That's
So,
smart.
weekends in particular, I'll say, hey, I'm out of the office for the weekend, but I'm checking messages at 8, 12, and 5, or whatever
Yeah.
that is. Because we're not, giving somebody a kidney.
Yeah.
This isn't, we're not
That's
surgeons. Like, if, most things can wait a couple of hours. And that has enabled me to, when I go, you know, do my gym time, for example,
yeah.
my phone is off. Now, nobody's typically calling me at 6 a.m. anyway. So that's not the best example. But, when you have those things, take the time and unplug. It makes me really sad when I see that agents are like so tied in to their business that they literally can't ever get a second for themselves. And you see it in their eyes, and they're like strung out and wild. And I just want to say, like, it's going to be okay. Like,
Yeah.
don't hesitate to say, listen, you're turning your phone off for an hour because you're grabbing dinner with your family. I mean,
And I
seriously.
think the public understands that if you communicate that. I think
Correct.
it's
It
when you
has to be
don't communicate
communicated.
it, but I know
Yep.
even when I go on vacation, especially if I go on a cruise and I have no cell service, which is beautiful sometimes, but I'll tell people, I have internet. I'm going to be checking my emails every single day at 4 p.m. I will check and answer all emails between 4 and 6 p.m. And I just do it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think
One
it's
other
just
thing
setting
that has totally changed my business. And again, we didn't talk about this before, so we don't have to get into this, but just real quick, I did remove my personal cell phone number, and I refer to it
Mm,
as that, from all of my signage and all of my branding. So the only people that have my personal cell phone number are friends and referral agents. That's it.
yeah, that's
So
awesome.
what has changed for me is, again, now I'm blessed to be able to have admin staff in the office, but I tell all of my clients up front, listen, I worked with you 15 years ago and I know you have this number, and you certainly, like, feel free to reach me. But I'm
Yeah.
telling you that I'm often out with clients for a couple of hours at a time. So it's going to be
Yeah.
so much quicker if you just text the office and say you want to schedule a showing or whatever. Like, my team is on and they're in the office from 8 to 4. Like, somebody's going to get that scheduled. And by the time I'm back in, you're already going to be scheduled and confirmed. And I won't even have seen it. It'll just be on my calendar and I'll show up. So
That is so true. I do the same thing. I did that years ago too, and that's
green.
a lot of people have my cell phone numbers, but as far as what's on the advertisements, what's on social media, what's online, it all goes to my team phone.
Well, and I just find, on my personal phone, um, when I do have the occasional client who has that number from years ago, they'll text me. Well, I'm no
Yeah.
longer really looking there for business. So
Mhm.
I just had to gain control because I was getting messages on Facebook Messenger. I was getting messages on LinkedIn. I was getting
Too
messages
much.
on
Like, you can't
it's
you can't
too
you can't
much.
check
Like, I can't
everything.
check 28 channels to see if
Yeah.
somebody needs something. So again, just redirecting that to one location has made it's not that people can't reach me that way. They
Yeah.
always know, but again, just referring to that, like, that's my personal cell phone number. And if,
Yeah.
if a client texts me from there, I typically text them back from my business number
See? Yeah.
so that
That's
they
smart.
get better service, because the end game is better service.
That's right. Doing best what's for your clients.
Yeah.
Amen. Well,
Yeah.
Jennifer, thank you so much for your time.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to seeing you at R4.
Can't wait.
Also just a couple of weeks. We'll be in
Yeah,
Vegas, baby.
that's right.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you jumping on here with me.
Appreciate
And
you.
yeah, I love hearing people's businesses and what they do and systems and consistency. And I just appreciate you.
Yes, yes, you
Awesome. I'll
too.
see
Take good care. I'll see you soon.
I'll see you in a couple weeks.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.